Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Fridays with Keenan's Cutting Edge. My name is Jenna Labor, and I will be your host as we explore the dynamic world of Don Keenan's trial philosophy, The Cutting Edge. Those of you joining us live this afternoon have the opportunity to ask questions and interact with our speakers. And today, of all days, might be a day that you want to do that. So please feel free to put any comments or questions you have in the comments section below the video that you're watching, and we will be sure to address it. Episodes are released each week following the live broadcast, so be sure to click that subscribe button and the little bell that gives you notifications about when we come out with new videos so that you don't miss an episode. Today, we have Tseaton and Matt Powell with us to discuss Don Keenan's Artificial Intelligence Program. See, I learned from last week what AI stands for. Just kidding. I always knew. I just forgot the words for it. So anyways, what we have to show it to you today and to speak with you about today is a program where you can chat with Don, essentially, about any topic you have questions about. And it's very cool. I have used it, and it is actually what it is that. It is incredible. I have also gotten some great feedback from other Edge lawyers who had a chance to demo the program. Is it a program? Is it a website? I don't know. We're going to find out. So anyways, we will put Matt's and Tony's contact information in the description below so that you can reach out to them directly with any questions after the episode. Matt and Tony, take it away. Welcome, you engineering fellows. Tell us a little bit about, let's go like way back to the beginning and tell us about where this idea came from and what you were smoking when you came up with it. Just kidding.
I can probably elaborate on that. We have a guru in Tennessee, a lawyer who just really had started taking off with AI about a year ago, and he started teaching me a little bit here and there. He's an Edge lawyer. And so he looked at me one day and he said, hey, you know, wouldn't it be great if we had all the Keenan stuff in AI? And I said, not a bad idea. And so based upon that, I picked up the phone and called Papa Don, and I said, you know, this is the direction that everything is going. This is where we need to be. And, you know, of course, Papa Don said, well, you know, the smartest tech computer guru guy we got is Matt Powell down in Tampa. So you call Matt and you get him involved, and let's get this AI project rolling. And that's pretty much the birth of what happened. I mean, Matt, how long have we been up and running? 2 months?
Yeah, we started probably in 60 days ago from a very conceptual idea to up and running really well. So what's interesting is we're like talking about what can we do, and some of our brothers and sisters have uploaded their files to private AI modules and ask it questions, and it comes back with some information but not enough. Mm-hmm. So we talked to Don and said, well, what if we put all your stuff in real clean and had a private library and could make sure that only people who are qualified to really get this information were able to access it. And so therein embarked the collection and importation of Papa Don's life works. Every book, article, anthology, and even more stuff that goes into another more secure library for the trainers' training manuals and stuff like that. So,
oh, wow.
So when we first started putting this thing together, what happened was, Matt said, let's get the anthology, the 2,800 pages of anthology, which has been a compilation of blogs from Papa Don and all types of people for over 10 years. Then we took all the copyrighted material. And honestly, the first time we showed Papa Don how it worked, he was astounded, because it's like, in the past, to get ready for a trial, you'll pull out the anthology or pull it up on your computer, and you'll say, okay, I need to figure out what to ask in voir dire on such and such type of case. And you look for about 5 5 or 6 different articles, and you go back and you read those 5 or 6 different articles, and you start putting together an outline. Now it just, it just spits it out almost immediately. And it's, and it's scary. The other thing about what Matt was talking about is the fact that once we've put it into this closed library, nobody else gets it, number one. Number two is it doesn't hallucinate. And for those of you that are familiar with artificial intelligence, you've got this great, big, huge thing, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, or whatever. And a lot of times, if it doesn't have the right answer for you, it makes it up. And so occasionally you'll get some, what we call hallucination. In other words, and of course, that's what, a lot of people will bring up. Well, I'm not going to use AI because those lawyers up in New York, cited some bad stuff and they didn't check their sites and they got sanctioned for it. Well, Keenan AI isn't going to do that, number one. And so it's going to be fairly consistent and it's going to work for you. So, the thing that has been interesting to me, it's like, I've learned so much from my guru friend, Josh Cantrell in Nashville, Tennessee. And I've actually taken some prompt engineering courses. And so I've been able to observe a lot of different AI projects and modules. And so what I'll do, and it's like if somebody comes to me and says, why would I want Keenan AI? I could ask ChatGPT. Well, we'll show you some examples of what you ask ChatGPT versus what Papa Don puts out. Do you want to ask ChatGPT what, are these good safety rules? Do you want to ask ChatGPT what is the importance of a statistic in a trial? And Papa Don just gives it to you, boom. Matt said at one point in time, he said it's like having Papa Don sit second chair with you. And not only does it give you rules, and we've got a whole laundry list of things it'll give you. There's tons and tons of it, but it will give you codes. Some codes, not all the codes, but it will give you some of them and tell you how to work on it. So, Matt, what am I leaving out?
What's interesting is the large language models are so powerful because they essentially have a photographic memory of thousands of articles that Papa Don has written, and it can rewrite it and put it back in an answer that's even better than it was written in the first time. It's just a really powerful tool. And because it's a closed system, it's not going out of the box, therefore it can't hallucinate. It's just really accurate. Out of the hundreds of searches that I've done, I've never had anything close to a hallucination. So it's super precise. And it's perfect that it is a closed library and it has a closed base of people who can use it, because otherwise people would probably abuse it and it would turn against us a little bit, So it is like having Papa Don with all the time in the world to answer your questions, no matter how basic they are or how detailed. You can say, tell me more, or what if I added this, or what if I take that out? And the large language model never gets frustrated with my dumb questions. It's like, okay, ask me again. What do you want to know?
You don't have to be afraid of posting on the listserv and having people be like, wow, what an idiot,
Yeah, right, yeah. There's none of that negative feedback of like, come on, if you don't know that, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And if you've never had much experience with artificial intelligence, and of course, it's real simple to jump onto a ChatGPT or a Gemini. Actually, when you do a Google search, it will give you some AI answers. But
I'm loving that. I am loving it.
The greatest thing about AI versus the Google search is that you can communicate. You can have a conversation with AI. A Google search, you go say, where should I go camping on my trip to the Great Lakes? And it'll give you, 5 different answers and 8 different ads, et cetera, et cetera. The AI will say it will ask you questions and you'll just have a conversation. And so that's what we always encourage folks to do, is to have the conversation. Don't just ask the question and then quit. A really good example of that, we got a great review of the Keenan AI. There's lots of people that have been using the beta version of it and are just absolutely blown away. So one lady emailed me and she said, I was getting ready for a safety director's deposition, and I didn't really know where to start. And so I asked Papa Don, I said, Papa Don, will you role play me? This is on the chat of Keenan AI. Will you role play with me on this deposition? And she said, Papa Don role played with me. We went back and forth numerous times, and she says, I knocked that deposition out of the ballpark. So, Matt was the one that originally introduced me to the fact it'll role play. There's just unlimited things that it'll do for you.
Wow, I never even thought to use it for that purpose. That's very, very cool.
What a better way to role play, as long as you want any topic, any subject, and just say, hey, Papa Don, you play the role of the hospital administrator, and I'm going to ask these questions. And then we go back and forth. And how can I make the question better? And what do I need to do to get more out of it? And then let's flip roles, and I'll be the hospital administrator. And now you dig in. And it's amazing. It really is.
So one of the things that I'll always advise folks to do is, instead of downloading a complaint or, it's the Keenan AI doesn't upload documents, but it will upload fact patterns. And what I always say is get you a fact pattern together and plug that in and then ask Papa Don the questions. So, I'm working on an individual case right now, and I plugged in the fact pattern, and then Papa Don will give you some observations, and then you can say, what do you think the defenses are going to be? Well, would you rather hear from that from Papa Don or ChatGPT? And then I will go further and say, so, what do you think that the system failures will be in this case, and what should I develop? Boom, 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 boom. Then I'll say, okay, based upon these system failures, what codes do you think would be would be in play? Then based upon that, I may say, well, can you help me develop some rules and some checklists? And boom, and it just, it just goes on and on. And you talk about saving hundreds and hundreds of hours. You can ask it.
You ask it to draft an edge opening statement for you?
Well, what we have done, actually, this was, in Tennessee, we have an EDGE group, and we have a retreat every year. And so we had a retreat, and 18 of us got together, and we used ChatGPT, and then we used the Keenan AI. And so what we would do is we would have the ChatGPT draft the opening statement from the fact pattern, which was a terrible opening statement. Then we would copy that into Papa Don's Keenan AI, and it would just, it's like what we always, the analogy we always give is you can get the cake from the ChatGPT, but if you want all the icing and all the trimmings and all the candles and all that, you get it from Papa Don. And so then you have Papa Don to critique it. And, basically, I wouldn't advise somebody to try to get an opening statement out of ChatGPT and then try to refine it. But what I would advise is, if you know the general categories, then take a category at a time and have Papa Don critique that. That's the way. That's the better way, of approaching. You could do that with opening statement. You can do that with voir dire. You can do that with closing the argument. In the case that I'm developing, I ask it a lot. We're getting ready to do another focus group next week. And I said, okay, so you've given me the system failures, you've given me, rules, et cetera. So tell me what type of juror I would like. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And
no way, I'm done.
Oh yeah. And then I would say, and tell me how, what questions should I ask for rat killing? Okay. Then what questions should I ask for conditioning?
Okay, now Tony, I'm starting to get concerned because why do I even need to be involved in the case at all anymore? Like, what's my role? I imagine obviously distilling it down, and pretty soon you're going to just squeeze us right out of a job.
Right. This stuff is game changing.
Wow.
And if you think about, how much further you're going to be ahead of every defense. Defense lawyers are afraid of it. This takes away from their time billing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But so for us, I mean, I can show you how to draft pleadings. Of course, the drafting of the pleadings is more the Chat GPT. Mm-hmm. And I can show you how to do 30B6s. I can show you how to do outlines for depositions, and it's just, it's really scary.
So I want to get into kind of showing what this looks like, but there is an AI, it's not a college, is it a seminar, April 15th, that
Yes.
Doc is doing. I signed up for it, and I'm excited about it. Is he going to have a section on edge-specific AI, like this Don Keenan stuff, as well, in addition to using other types, or?
So we're doing both, and this is my guru friend from Nashville, Josh Cantrell, who taught the 18 lawyers in Tennessee. Once he taught us, Danny Ellis was there, and Danny Ellis popped up and said, "Hey, well, this needs to be a course." Because we spent 2 days, and what Josh did is he lectured us the first day. Then the second day, we took fact patterns and plugged them in, and everybody critiqued, and we refined fact patterns and things like that. So to answer your question, Papa Don and Matt and I got together and we said, "Hey, we need to educate lawyers." Oh my gosh, it's like in the past I've walked into a room of 40 lawyers and I'll say, "How many people use AI?" And I'll get 4. Mm-hmm. So they're not using it yet, and it's so game changing. It's as big as the internet when it first came out. It's as big as the first computer when it
feels like
bigger.
that.
It's bigger than all of that.
Yeah.
So in the course, what we'll do is we'll do a lot of Chat GPT, and then we will do that alongside of the Keenan AI to show you what you can do to get ready for trial. Hopefully, what Matt and I have been discussing lately is hopefully we're going to get this course down to a little less than a day and be able to do it more frequently. This is the first course. Again, we're straight out of the chute. We're newborn babies, don't know what to do with this product, kind of mm-hmm. thing. And so we're going to have this class. Hopefully this class is extremely successful. Then we're going to start, trying to figure out how we can do a better mass type of class where people are engaged.
Yeah.
Matt, you need to talk instead of me.
Yeah.
No, this is great. There's a lot to learn, and what people need to do with the Keenan AI is get creative and just ask it things. I mean, if you ask it irrelevant, what's sports trivia, you're not going to get an answer. But if you ask it anything in the realm of being a personal injury lawyer, it's going to give you great answers. And the more creative you get, we want you to share your ideas. Like, the role playing came up just kind of as a weird thing that I was messing around, and I said, let's try it. And man, it took off. I'm sure there's 50 other things that we haven't thought of yet that it can do.
Yeah, the time I used it, and my hesitance, and it may reflect what some of the audience's hesitance too is, it's new. Well, it's not really new technology, but it's like new, and I don't really know how to use it. So that's why I'm really excited about, the program that's coming up in a couple weeks, to kind of figure out how to use this in my practice, right? Like, I'm afraid of getting a wrong answer and not having time to look it up, or looking it up incorrectly, or trusting blah, blah, blah. So I used it recently in a not very creative way, but it was a way that made me feel a little bit more comfortable doing it. So I was talking to somebody about a case, and I couldn't remember what the premises stool was, and I was looking through all of my notes, like, that I have saved over the years, and I'm like Control F trying to find it, and I'm like, I know it's in here probably 6 times, but it's not coming up. So I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I remember I was given the little access to it. And so I went on, I just typed in, what is the premises stool? Now, the best part of the response was it gave me, the elements of it, but it also gave me an analysis of why it was important. So that was, in my notes, while from the various colleges I've been to, I could have cobbled together that's, a similar response, but the amount of time it took, the negative amount of effort it took was incredible. So, I'm excited to get more creative with it, but folks who are listening and tuning in and are like not really sure how to start simple like that, because that's the stuff that it will just bam, like start to get you. And then the other point is that like with the chat GPT and whatnot, like this Dawn's one is edge specific. And that's what I really love about the closed cosmos of it, is that you're going to get a bunch of stuff from chat GPT, whatever, and that may help you with your state specific case law, get you rolling on different things that isn't necessarily encompassed in what Dawn has written about. But then you get the closed cosmos of, what's coming out of the Don Keenan AI is what we learned in the colleges, what we learned in the seminars, always going to be through that lens of edge, which is really cool. So we got a shout out from Dave Crump. So I wanted to make sure that I never miss a comment. And Dave says, Matt and Tony have done an amazing job on this project. There is a free 3-week trial and it is well worth checking it out. So tell us about how you get access to that. Then let's jump into the screen share demonstration. So how do you get access to that free 3-week trial?
So the easiest way is to email me, and I can put that up, or I can put it in the chat, or wherever you want me to put it. But my email is tseaton, Tseaton, at KeenansKidsFoundation.com. So Keenan's is plural, kids is plural. So tseaton at KeenansKidsFoundation.com. You send me your cell number and your email and your request, and I will immediately send you the link.
As long as you qualify and you're not a black hat.
That's okay.
And coming soon, you can go to the Keenan Trial Institute website, and there's information there and a link that's going to take you to the actual real website that's hosting all of this.
Okay.
And I'd give that URL now, but I don't think it's developed far enough. And let's make sure we're working before we start having people checking it out.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, well, let's dive in. Matt, are you sharing? Do you want to show us some prompts?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's ask somebody. We need, let's just start here.
Yeah, and if anybody in the audience has a prompt, I do want to talk, and this is going to segue nicely into this, about prompt engineering, because I know that sometimes what you ask and how you ask it can be significant. So let's talk, if you would, both Matt and Tony, about that.
Yeah, so this is the platform. This is what you're going to see, and this is the copyright version. And what that means is this large language model its universe is every book and article that has been published and in the public realm. The other one contains things that are not in the public realm. So it's important to know what you're getting here. The next thing,
so there are 2 versions?
Yes.
Got it.
The second version is not ready for public consumption yet, but let's talk about it because it's kind of cool. It's essentially all of Don's trade secrets. And anyone who wants access to that will have to sign a contract stating that they understand that they're getting trade secrets, they cannot disclose them, and that there's huge penalties, and it's a violation of trust and ethics and everything. But let's not get lost in that. Let's just talk about, how do you work with an AI? And as Tony and I pointed out, when you search for something in Google, it's going to give you, 300,000 hits that have some response to that. And then you have to go to those websites and look and see if you can find it. The difference with this is that it's a conversation, and you pretend that you're talking to Don personally, and you just ask him a question however you would in real life. And does anyone have a question or some kind of thing that you'd like me to try out and type in?
All right, folks, whoever's listening, send in a prompt. Maybe we can help you out with your case. This is a free time to get a leg up. And any of you who are listening after this has been released, pre-recorded, too bad, so sad for you. So anybody out there? Oh, we've got one. Okay. Ken Bland. Hello, Ken.
Hey, Ken.
Says, how do I prove an informed consent case? Let's use the exact language so that we can see how it works and how we might refine things. How do I prove an informed consent case?
Just have make it a little easier. All right, so is that pretty good? How do I prove an informed consent medical malpractice case? Do you want to give it more specific on the type of case?
Let's actually take out medical malpractice. I'm curious if let's go down like the brain tree of what it comes up with first, and then if we find out a little bit.
Here we go.
Let's pretend we're Ken asking the question.
Type's fast, so I'm going to
and we'll go back up.
Go to the top. All right.
Wow, I mean, it breaks it down, and there's silence as we're reading it. The folks who are listening on and not watching are like, what happened? Did it break down?
Read it, yeah.
Yeah, Ken Bland's question just destroyed the copyright version. No, so for those of you who are listening and can't see, it comes up with a full typed out response, and it has step 1, step 2, step 3, and it tells what Don has found success in using. It tells, oh, is that oh, you can listen to it?
So let me adjust my sound settings.
Okay.
And I'm going to share computer sound now. And rather than me read it, we'll let Don.
Let me break down how to prove an informed consent case based on my decades of experience.
Hey, Art.
First, you need to establish the doctor's duty to disclose material risks. This means proving what a reasonable doctor would have told the patient about the risks, benefits, and alternatives of the proposed treatment. Second, you must show breach, that the doctor failed to provide adequate information. This often requires expert testimony to establish what specific information should have been disclosed. Get the medical records and look for documentation of discussions. Interview witnesses about what was actually said. Third, prove causation through 2 elements. 1, that a reasonable patient would have chosen differently if properly informed. 2, that this particular patient would have chosen differently. Subjective standard. I found success focusing on causation first before diving into complex liability issues. Show the jury how the failure to inform directly led to harm. Use simple language and clear examples that resonate emotionally. Key evidence typically includes medical records, documenting consent discussions, hospital policies on informed consent, JCHA Joint Commission standards, expert testimony on disclosure standards, patient family testimony about what they weren't told, evidence of actual complications that weren't disclosed. Remember, as I've seen in countless cases, informed consent is the patient's right to participate in their own healthcare decisions. When doctors take away that right by withholding information, they must be held accountable.
It's almost a closing argument.
It is. That is, I mean, it's so helpful. And honestly, we all know this stuff from doing the courses, and it's just like, this gives it to you as a perfect sound bite. Well, that was a literal sound bite, but also even like the typed out part, and you're like, oh, thank you. You know, because so many times our brains are all over the place, and we're like, oh, I remember this, I remember that. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to request in Discovery? Boom, here it is. And that's just from Ken's simple question of how do I prove an informed consent case? Like, super cool.
Well, the other thing to bear in mind, you know, it's like, you know, anytime you're doing jury selection, and, you know, what Papa Don will say is, your most important question is, tell me more. That's your most important question in these things, because now these are going to give you about a half a page to a page, maybe 3/4 of a page of information. But if you really want to dig down deep, just say, tell me more, or tell me more about, you know, the ways that I really need to prove it, or tell me more about how should I embed this in my case.
Should we try? Yeah. Yeah, let's see.
I'm gonna say, tell me more. See what we got. Let's see if the audio is here. It takes a minute or two for it to generate the audio.
Okay. So does it generate audio with every prompt you put in?
Yes.
Oh, it does. Okay. I didn't even notice. I didn't even look, I guess, but I was doing it.
Expand on proving informed consent cases. One powerful approach I've developed is framing it around the patient's fundamental right to make decisions about their own body. This resonates deeply with jurors. When presenting to a jury, I structure the case around 3 key rules. 1, a doctor should not negligently endanger patients. 2, a doctor must be upfront about all available options. 3, a doctor must gather complete information to properly inform. The hospital also has critical obligations. Under JCAH guidelines, they must have systems in place to verify informed consent was properly obtained. A signed form alone isn't enough. Staff needs to confirm patients understand the risks explained to them. I've found success focusing on the doctor's decision-making process. Did they document discussions about risks? Did they rush through options? Did they make decisions for the patient rather than with the patient? As I always say, it's not our chance, it's the law. Doctors have 2 distinct obligations: providing proper care and proper information about risks. Expert testimony is crucial, but doesn't always need to be from the same specialty. The key is having experts who can clearly explain what information should have been shared and how the failure to do so violated the standard of care. Remember, informed consent cases are about more than just getting a signature on a form. They're about protecting patients' fundamental right to participate in their own healthcare decisions.
So
There you go, Ken. Ken, we just did your whole case for you.
there you go. So one of the things I want to point out about the Keenan AI thing is, we weren't asking real hard questions that required a lot of prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is the art of asking the question properly. If you go into ChatGPT and you say, how do you prove an informed consent case, you're going to get total garbage. Because in ChatGPT, what you have to do is to say, you are an expert in Tennessee law and procedure and healthcare liability. I want you to assume these facts. I mean, there's a whole lot of complication that you have to do for ChatGPT. You don't have to do that for the Keenan AI, and because number one, it's Papa Don, and Papa Don is going to assume that you are an EDGE student. And then, so, anything that you ask, occasionally you'll have to clarify. If you ask about codes, a lot of times he'll give you regulations and codes. Then you say, okay, what I meant to ask you was about cultural codes. In this case, where I have a nurse, where I have a mother, where I have a baby, where I have a father, etc.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And that is really interesting because, we can't, and because of the closed cosmos nature of this particular AI program, you can be a little bit more freeform with your questions because of the assumptions that are made by the program itself, instead of, with ChatGPT, which is culling from all over the world, all things that are on the internet. So, and I'm really interested when we do that AI program with Josh, that's why that relationship is so important between using the ChatGPT for some things and using, the Don Keenan AI for others. Yeah, that's fascinating. So we've seen how it works. This is super exciting. What other ways are you both using it in your practice, or are you seeing others using the Don Keenan AI stuff in their practices?
I use it to help me with lots of different things. One of the things I was working on a hospital system failure case, and I probably asked Don over the course of 30 minutes, 10 questions, and like, what are the various causes of action, and what are the elements of each one? What kind of experts do I need? And and it just slowly built out this whole like framework of a case. And now I just add the real world facts to it, draft the complaint, draft my 30B6 notice of taking depositions, get my experts ready to make sure that they understand the theories and what we're trying to do. That's how I've been using it mostly.
Okay.
So we're getting ready for a focus group next week. And, I see lots and lots of people talking on the listservs about focus groups and things. There's a lot of us that just don't really know. I mean, it's like we throw stuff together, throw it up on the wall and say, okay, focus group, tell us about this. And we really don't know how to interpret all of that information. And I'll be the first to admit, I am not an expert at it. I have taken both focus group class and advanced focus groups. As a matter of fact, Matt teaches advanced focus group. And even from then, it's difficult to ascertain, okay, how many how many narrative focus groups do I want to do? How many safety focus groups do I want, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'll ask Papa Don a lot of those questions on the chat, on the, the Keenan AI. What should I be looking for? And, because what I'm always interested in, I've said this many, many times, I am not good at rat killing. I've had about 5 trials in the past 6 years, and I end up with a rat of some sort on each jury panel. I'm not good at it. Papa Don's great at it. I'm not good at it. And so I'm all the time looking for rat killing questions and how I can tweak and refine those, and I'm practicing those in focus groups. And so, I'll role play with him on the rat killing questions, or I'll say, okay, I've done one narrative, what should I do on this next narrative focus group, and what should I be looking for? So that's again, that's just what I'm working on today. I've used it for, helping me with the complaint, with discovery, with, the machinations of discovery. It's just, what I tell folks is I spend 60% of my time on AI.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting and scary. I'm scared, but I'm excited. I'm like, I was like aversion to trying new things, but then once I try them, I tend to just be all in. So that's really interesting. Can you, Tony, can you put the results? Like, I know you can make your focus group video into a transcript. Could you, and I know, but then you can't upload stuff into this right now, but eventually will there be a way to upload the transcript into the Keenan AI and have it interpret results or anything?
Well, think about this, because many of you've probably used Applaud, which you can record things. It's the size of a credit card, or you can record it from your AI and get a transcript. If you have a PDF transcript, what you can do is to copy that and then paste it in and say, Papa Don, what do you think about the results of this focus group?
Okay.
There's all kinds of ways to skin the cat.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. All right. Okay. See, Matt's got another example up.
Yeah, so I've never asked this question, but let's talk about how you prepare a witness. So the question is, in the realm of witness preparation, how can I prepare my client for her deposition about a rear-end car collision that caused serious injury? So let's see what he says. And this is reaching out to a lot of, now here comes the answer. Witness preparation takes time. It's hard, and it needs to be specific for your case and your client. All right, so he's got a really nice thing. Let's see if we can let him read it for us.
What's the significance of that percentage I see at the top there, Matt? At the right, 89% personal score.
We get that question all the time, and I still don't have a good answer for it. I think maybe we should ask him. I don't know.
I know, maybe we should. Is it like, because sometimes it's like, I don't know, if you're searching something online, it'll give you a percentage to say how good of a match it is to what you asked, or I don't know, something like that. I don't know.
We asked the developer one day, what that meant, and he basically said, it's just kind of a thing that we've been toying with to see how it works. And he said basically, don't put a lot of significance into it.
All right, so let's see what Papa Don says to that question about witness preparation.
Let me share my proven approach for witness preparation in rear-end collision cases. First, spend significant time. I recommend at least 3 Part 4 sessions of 2 to 3 hours each, working with your client on the fundamentals. Start by having them practice describing the moment of impact in vivid detail, what they saw, heard, and felt. Make sure they can clearly articulate their immediate physical and emotional reactions. Next, drill down on the safety rules that were violated. Your client needs to understand and be able to explain how the defendant's actions threatened not just them, but everyone on the road that day. Then practice explaining why maintaining a safe following distance is crucial for community safety. Role play tough questions about gaps in treatment or pre-existing conditions. I've found that honest acknowledgement coupled with clear explanation of how this crash made things worse is most effective. Practice having them describe their daily limitations and lifestyle changes with specific examples, not general statements. Most importantly, prepare them for the factors around speed, distraction, or sudden stops. They need to remain calm and stick to the truth while emphasizing they were following proper safety rules. Remember, preparation breeds confidence. Record practice sessions on video so your client can see how they come across and make adjustments. The goal isn't to script answers, but to help them tell their truth effectively. In my experience handling thousands of these cases, a well-prepared witness who can authentically convey both the physical and emotional impact of the crash is incredibly powerful.
There you have it.
There we go. Wow. I like that it's in Don's voice. I know that's kind of silly, but it's just nice to have it. That's an extra touch.
It is really cool, isn't it? It's so articulate, so beautiful spoken.
How do you do that part of it? It's a little bit of a tangential question, but like, does he record one thing and then you feed it in there and it can use his voice and modulate it for everything else?
That's secret sauce.
Oh.
No, so Don went into a professional recording studio and recorded a couple audiobooks, and we used those recordings as the basis for the AI.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I love that. That's very sweet. Okay. What else? Are there any, what does this program look like moving forward? Are there different updates you're looking to do, whatnot?
Well, let me respond to that. There's 2 things that we're doing. It's like, we don't want lawyers using this that don't have KTI training. I mean, they wouldn't know what to do with it. I'm afraid of where it would go. So if you've had KTI training, we want you to look at it. And so what Matt and I have done is we are doing a 30-minute presentation twice a month for people who just have no idea what to do or what it's all about. And we'll demonstrate how it's going to work. For the more in-depth lawyer, which I highly, highly recommend, we're going to do a series of trainings. We don't know how this is going to work yet. After we do the Josh Cantrell training with the 25 lawyers that first signed up, we're going to figure out if we can condense that just a little bit, do that quite a bit more often to help them understand how to use Keenan AI alongside of any other AI, whether it's Gemini or Perplexity or ChatGPT. Then, lastly, we're going to try to do a monthly get-together by Zoom, in which people can get online, get on the Zoom and share ideas. Like David Crump, who is on here now, is an instructor with KTI. I think he's your co-dean, isn't he? Or he's
for advanced witness prep. He's Ada's co-dean. Yes.
Anyway, he's an assistant dean, and he and I have collaborated from time to time. Hey, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Well, what we want to do is, once we get people up and running and going, is we want to continue to encourage that. So and the way that we're going to encourage that is to do this monthly Zoom. We're going to say, oh, by the way, let me show you how I found out about corporate, et cetera, or how we're using AI to figure out electronic discovery or whatever. And so that's our long-term plan, because it's like, once we got the Keenan AI up and running with, oh man, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But it's great, but alongside of another large language model like ChatGPT or Perplexity or one of those others, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And we're getting a lot of people that are asking the questions, oh gosh, can it download all my medical records and give me a summary? Well, no, but we've got some outfits that will do that. The thing about uploading your information into ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever is that goes into the internet, and you've got some confidentiality issues. So, but I don't mind uploading my complaint that I have publicly filed. I don't mind uploading a set of facts, et cetera, et cetera. So those are just some of the things that we're going to do on down the road.
Okay.
It's important to remember that almost every AI has a special focus, and not one fits all. And this is just a very bespoke AI designed specifically to help, edge lawyers do their things. Little things that we're going to see soon on the platform is after you run a query, you'll be able to export the text without just one little keystroke, copy and paste it into your Word document or whatever. And hopefully we'll have a library where you will see your own prompt. So you can go back and say, hey, I started this and then I thought something else. I want to bring it back and bring it back to life. So those are a few things that are coming soon, as we build this thing out.
Awesome. Michelle Gessner has a very good question. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to allow you guys to answer it. Is the data in this version only focused on personal injury cases?
The answer is no. It also helps with criminal defense, and it also helps with employment type cases. So what's interesting is this is a collection of the 400 trials that Don Keenan has been part of, and all the work on the cases that didn't even go to trial. His groundbreaking work on focus groups is part of it. You're going to see eventually, part of the library includes all of the 60-minute television video interviews that he's performed and stuff like that. So it's a very broad library of Don's works. It's amazing. If you ever thought of a way, how do you preserve a human mind forever? This is it. And Don has, practiced law at the highest level, one of the greatest trial lawyer in America. And then he pivots a little bit and goes into teaching. And so what he did miraculously is take all of his hard work and encapsulate it in a way to pass the torch on to anybody who wants it. And if you want it, you got to like it. You got to have a passion for this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We just really love this stuff. And I don't know of a better way. You've heard of presidential libraries. This is going to be better than any presidential library because it has real value to anyone who walks into it.
And it won't take up a park space where we no longer have outdoor space.
Yeah. Well, and what's really gratifying is watching how much Don loves this. I mean, this is his legacy. This is the way that he is really preserving it all. And, you know, it's funny, Matt and I, you know, we talk with him pretty regularly, and we'll do some demonstrations or whatever, and he'll go, wow, I can't believe how good it does it. Did I say that back?
Yeah, I wonder, you forget that you even wrote that, you know? Yeah. But to also follow up on your answers to Michelle, I know I actually was thinking about this while we were putting the prompts in. I was like, someone's going to be like, what about employment law? Because that's been one of my biggest focus outreaches within KTI in particular, and KLF and everything else, but is to kind of like bring in the employment folks a little bit more into the fold. But it really, Don has written several articles on how this stuff works with employment. And so when you're asking the question, it's deriving the responses from those articles, right? So if you put in an employment related prompt, it's going to find the employment stuff. So if you say like, what leg of the employment stool applies to this case, it will find those articles and give you that response.
Let's ask him a question. What do you got?
Yeah, Michelle, do you want to test? I don't know what area you want to test, but if you're still there, we'll test one for you. Because I'm going to come up with one. If she doesn't come up with one, give me just a moment. Can we ask it to give us an example of a safety rule, or no?
Yeah, or you could say, what should I be looking for system failure wise in an employment case?
Let's say where disability.
Sure.
Where there's a disability.
How's that question? Is that all right?
That looks good. Yeah.
Okay.
See what it does with that.
I will tell you that a couple of months ago I was with Papa Don, and he said, you know, if I was starting all over again, I would start a practice and I would focus only on employment law.
This system works incredible for employment law, because I started out with personal injury and now I do a lot of employment law. In fact, I would say 90% of my clients now are employment, and I have developed from Don's teachings and all the edge stuff that I do a wonderful template for being successful in those cases. It really, really works well for that. And Matt, let me read that prompt, because I didn't read it out loud yet. And so for folks who are listening and not watching. So the prompt we put in was, what should I be looking for in an employment case? What types of system failures should I look for? Specifically, my client has disabilities. So just like a conversational.
Yeah. So let's let Papa Don read it back.
Let me break this down from my experience handling employment disability cases. The key system failures typically revolve around three critical areas. First, look at the company's ADA compliance system. Were there established protocols for handling accommodation requests? Many companies fail to have a clear, documented process. Check if HR personnel were properly trained on disability rights and accommodation procedures. Often you'll find gaps in training records or outdated policies. Second, examine the communication chain. Document every interaction between your client and supervisors regarding their disability. Look for breakdowns where accommodation requests were ignored, delayed, or improperly handled. I've won cases by showing how requests got lost in bureaucratic black holes or were dismissed without proper interactive dialogue. Third, investigate the company's past handling of disability cases. Pattern and practice evidence is powerful. Request records of other accommodation requests and their outcomes. Look for inconsistent treatment or systemic failures to engage in good faith discussions. Some specific red flags I always investigate: failure to document interactive process meetings, arbitrary denials without proper analysis, cost being cited as primary reason for denial, supervisors making medical determinations, retaliation after accommodation requests, missing or inadequate disability policies, lack of HR oversight on accommodation decisions. Remember, under the Keenan method, we're looking at this as system failure analysts. The goal is to show how the company's broken processes endangered not just your client, but all disabled employees. This transforms it from a single incident into a broader community safety issue.
Boom.
Boom,
And you can
boom.
go on and on from there and narrow it down.
Yes, right. Just
So-
keep refining the question.
Yeah. And so Michelle, she did ultimately respond and say, please help me write safety rules for a race discrimination or retaliation case. So one tip is frame it as a question, Michelle. So you might say, instead of saying, Don, please help me write safety rules, you might say, what is a good safety rule for a race discrimination or retaliation case, or a retaliation case based on race? So it's almost like if Don were sitting in front of you, just ask the question and see what happens. So Michelle, I hope you have the link for this. If you don't, we are going to put Tony's email. We'll put both Matt and Tony's emails in the description below this video, so you will have those. As a reminder, Tony's, for purposes of requesting access to this system, is T as in Tom, Seaton, Seaton, at Keenan's. Oh, it's spelled wrong in the chat, Tony. You forgot the S after Keenan's kids. Oh, wow, you didn't. I misread that. I apologize. Keenan'sKidsFoundation.com. There we go, like being all dyslexic and whatnot. So Tseaton at Keenan'sKidsFoundation.com. And, you know, I'm sure, Tony, you have some questions for them to make sure they've done EDGE stuff. And so we're not just giving this out to anyone who has not done EDGE things. And that's important. This is why that's important. Okay, number one, because a lot of the stuff that you will hear is, you know, proprietary and confidential and whatnot in the responses. But the other thing is, if you're not trained in using EDGE techniques, you might use them incorrectly. And if used incorrectly, you might get a bad outcome and then have a bad taste in your mouth about the system. And so we really don't want to perpetuate any sort of mistaken use of the system to the best of our abilities. So we'd rather you know, be trained before hearing this stuff and just running off and using it. Unless I'm wrong. Is that correct, Matt and Tony? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here live with us today. And thank you, Tony and Matt. This has been incredible. I just got word from Ada that the Josh Cantrell group is full. I knew it would be. That's why I jumped on it right away. So I'm hoping and looking forward to the next one. And those of you who are salivating about learning more about AI now after hearing Tony and Matt talk about it, keep your eyes open for more, because I know this is something that we want to use more of in our practices. One thing Don has always been incredible at, starting way back when he did focus groups before most people were doing them, is meeting the jury where they are and meeting kind of society where it is, right? Why do extra work when we have these tools at our hands to help us do things better, right? And it's not just for us, but it's so that we can do the best for our clients, to represent them, make our communities safer, right? So once again, thank you all for being here. If you liked the episode, please give it a thumbs up. That does something to YouTube to, I don't know, help out the channel. So please do that. Don't forget to subscribe and sign up for alerts so that you don't miss an episode. Next week, we have Carrie Jones with us, and we will be discussing being a female trial lawyer. Now, we used to have a female trial lawyers summit, and then that sort of got derailed a little bit by COVID and different things. So we're going to do a mini cosmos of that next week. And I have asked Carrie to bring a couple of friends, or let's see if we can get a gaggle of gals together to chat about how our practice is a little bit different from men's. Now, we're not going to be exclusionary. Men, you are absolutely welcome and encouraged to come listen to this, because, hey, you know, chances are you practice with women, and whether they be in your law firm or on the other side of the case, other side of the V, as we say. So, you know, everybody feel free to join us to talk about just some of the differences and some of the quirks and some of the positives about being a female trial lawyer. Don't forget to send suggestions on topics and speakers. We love to give you what you want to hear. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and I'll see you next time.